I am going to take a wild guess that you are here with me tonight because you are busy. Not only are you busy, but you are so busy that you feel like you just do not have time for any self care. And I don't mean a fancy spa day self care. I mean the basics of finding a moment just to relax and just to be and to preserve your sanity. So let's see what is keeping you busy by starting off with a poll. And that poll is launched so you can check all the boxes for the things that take up your time and keep you busy. If you check the other box, go ahead and type in the chat with what those other things are that chip away at your time. And you can also type a comment into the chat to share anything that you would like to about what keeps you busy. Now, you may be expecting this webinar to be a list of self-care ideas like take a bubble bath and drink some tea, but that's not what we're here for. I got this advice once actually from a therapist, and it was not helpful at all because I wasn't in the right headspace to care for myself well, or I would have been doing those things already. So, with this poll, we got everything. So people are busy with completing their work, managing their household with errands and bills, all the things that go along with feeding ourselves, planning, shopping, prepping, cooking, caring for partners, friends, family, or pets, volunteering for charity and community groups, and some other things not listed. And one of the comments is you just kind of lose track of time. And that does happen. So close out that poll. So we have established that we're a bunch of busy people. So we're in the right place. And now what do we do? Well, you don't need a list of self-care ideas like I was given because self-care is unique for each of us and you know how to use Google. But if that is what you were expecting, then you can see 6 ideas right here on the title slide. But instead, I'm going to focus on giving you tips to prioritize your self-care in a culture that prioritizes work and family and portrays the nearly impossible to obtain image of the superwoman who can do it all. You know the one. The woman who can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never ever let you forget you're a man. And if you remember this marketing from way back when for Jean Naté fragrances, then you know this image has been thrust upon women since we entered the workforce in earnest for decades now. And this kind of message makes you believe that you are the problem if you can't do it all. Listen, you're not the problem here. When you believe you and your poor time management skills are the problem, you end up blaming yourself and accepting your fate of living a frazzled, frantic life. And that is not okay with me. And I hope it is not okay with you. This cultural ideal that tells you that you should be able to do it all, that is the problem here. So screw that. Let's talk about setting up a new worldview, one where you show up for yourself first. And if you remember one thing today, let it be that you show up better for all the things in your life when you take care of yourself well. To practice self-care, you must take an active role in protecting your well-being and happiness at all times, and especially in times of high stress. The way you take care of yourself can take many forms. And while we most often do think of disconnecting and pampering ourselves, it has many other forms and can show up as physical, mental, or emotional, and even spiritual endeavors. So self-care is whatever lets you get a reset and recharges your batteries. So good self-care has many benefits, as you can see on this image. So take a look at these for a moment and then raise your hand or chat me a yes if these look good to you. And now there is a catch. To get these benefits, you actually need to do some self-care. However, we don't always get around to it. Now, neglecting your self-care can have a negative impact. It can lead to burnout, a short temper, depression, anxiety, that feeling of a loss of control, and it can really make you resent the people and things that take up your time. So I'm seeing hands go up and some yes comments in the chat to share that these look good to you. So thank you. I agree. And this sounds good, but the reality is that life happens. Life happens, and we are the easiest thing to cross off our to-do list. We would rather let ourselves down than let someone else down. And the number one reason that people don't practice self-care regularly is not having time. So what are some of the other things that keep you from doing your self-care? I want you to get a couple of ideas in mind, just of those things that take up your time for self-care. And I want you to think back and reflect on these examples of your time sucks as I walk through an ABC chain exercise that we're about to do. And I'm going to warn you right now, all those reasons that you're coming up with right now, this is your old thinking, and that changes tonight. So old thinking looks like this. Life happens to us. You respond automatically, which means you're not living an intentional life. And this can be summarized in this ABC chain. You, and really most of us, we let life drag us from task to task based on what triggers our reactions. So let me walk through an example of this chain with work, an example that I think many of us can relate to. So an email pops into your inbox as you're about to clock out and leave work for the day. This is the A in the ABC chain, the antecedent, the thing that happens before. And it's something that happens that triggers a behavior. So what does it trigger? It triggers the B in the behavior chain, which is the behavior that you choose to do. In this case, the choice is to go with your autopilot reaction, right? Which is just go ahead and respond because this is just going to take a moment. I'm just going to reply to it now. So that behavior leads us to the C in the ABC chain, which is the consequence or the result of your behaviors. Well, I don't know about you, but what happens to me when I sit down to do one thing really quick at work, you get sucked right back in. And before you know it, 30 minutes has passed and now you're running behind. So let's just cross our self-care off of our schedule for the evenings. So I'd like you to invite you to share your thoughts about this ABC chain now and this automatic response of life happening to us. So if you would like, you can raise your hand if you have any comments and I can ask you to come off mute and share. And I do have a comment that says, one of my friends says priority is putting out the fire first, right? And that is our automatic reaction. Something's on fire, it's a priority, we got to put it out. All right. So yes, go ahead, take yourself off mute. What you got?
One of my coworkers showed up on Zoom one day, and the poor guy, right, is taking care of, like 4 kids by himself, is single, has no help. And he said, look at me, I'm just a mess. I had no time for self-care today. He said, I didn't have time to brush my hair, brush my teeth, take a shower, 4 kids from grade school to high school.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, you add work and everything else to that. And I mean, it's a wonder. He has minus hours in his day.
Well said. Yes, there are not enough hours in the day. And that happens to so many people. And yeah, to men as well. So this is self-care for busy women, but this absolutely applies across the board. We live in this culture of busyness and it affects all of us. And so chances are he's responding in that ABC fashion, right? There's a trigger, I got to take care of it. It rules my schedule instead of me being intentional. So let's see if we can flip the script and do some new thinking. Okay, so you can make life work for you when you start with the results you want, which is to take good care of yourself, right? By protecting your time for self-care. So you start at the bottom. You start with the question, what consequences or results do you want? And in our example, you want to have 30 minutes for self-care today. So now let's work that backwards. What behaviors, B, or choices do you have to make to get that result? So in our example, you're going to have to make a different choice, an intentional choice, and leave work on time so you have those 30 minutes available. And that brings us back up to the A, the triggers or the antecedents. So the trigger is that darn email that comes in at 5 p.m. So the question becomes, how do you change your trigger or respond differently to your trigger? So in this case, obviously, we can't stop someone from sending us an email, but you could change your response to that triggering email. So a couple of things you could do. You could simply ignore it and take care of it the next day, right? If that wouldn't feel right for you in the position and the role that you're in at work, then you could reply simply with received, will reply tomorrow, click send and go. Or you could even really be proactive about managing your email and set an alarm to turn on your out of office response, maybe at 5 minutes or 10 minutes till 5. So now when someone emails you last minute of the day, they get a response that you've already left for the day and you'll get back to them tomorrow. You can also set some boundaries around, I respond to emails from 8 to 9 in the morning, from 1 to 2 in the afternoon, and from 4 to 5, and then not deal with things any other time. So there's a lot of different ways that you could change the A, change how you respond to that trigger to get the result that you want. So I know you're saying, yeah, but not at my job, right? So if it seems impossible, some of the tips I'm about to share may help you make this concept work for you in some way. All right, hold on tight because I'm going to come in hard and start with 3 really big, hard things. We prioritize things that are not truly important in terms of keeping us alive, healthy, and happy. So let's start with what is vital to living. Okay, we've got breathing, eating to fuel your body and give you energy, moving to keep your body from locking up on you, sleeping to allow your body to rest and reset, and connecting to others, because we are at the root of it all tribal and not meant to live a solitary life. And isolation, in fact, is associated with poor health outcomes. And yet, even though these are the 5 vital things for a happy, healthy life, we skip meals, we skip exercise, we stay up late, we stay at our desk and miss out on our social time. But we don't stop breathing. We can't do that. And for what? To answer an email that seems really urgent and important in the moment, but really isn't that vital and could probably wait until tomorrow. So we give up the things that are vital to being alive and well for things that really don't matter in the big picture. Here's the catch, though. Your body remembers all these choices. And over time, your health will reflect what you choose to do most often. And trust me, you do not want to have a health scare to figure out what truly matters to you. So if you're thinking that you can't take time away from all the things, then remember that one thing that I asked you to remember when we started, which is that you will show up better, happier, and more present, even at work, when you allow yourself time to recharge. Now, if you don't, you may be on time, you may be a really fast email replier, but you're also showing up for work unhappy, tired, stressed out. You just haven't recognized yet that this is actually a choice that you're making. And your health and your self-care are the things that are truly the most important. All right, gonna keep coming in hard. Once you decide what's most important, set boundaries to protect your time for these things. Now, people say that women have a hard time saying no. And to that, I say, no. You can say no. It's a complete sentence. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to justify it. And here's the reason. When you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to all the other options you just had. You just aren't saying no out loud, right? So when you say yes to others, you may be saying no to yourself and your self-care. Now, people do not like it when we change. So this one can be difficult, but you can do it and people will adjust. And remember, Mamas, you're role modeling for your children. Leaders, you are role modeling for your team. Teach those who look to you as a mentor to put their needs at the top of their to-do lists. I love it. I just got a big no in the chat. Exercise that muscle. Now, setting boundaries can be difficult. And if you are in a situation where you actually may jeopardize your safety, this is possible by saying no. Do work with a professional to help you navigate the situation safely. But if there's no danger, just a lot of discomfort, then go all in and get uncomfortable. You can relax when you have that time to go get your massage. Okay. All right. Tip number 3, this is the last hard one for you, is to delegate. Ask for help and be crystal clear on what you need. People cannot read your mind. So at home, recruit your partner or your kids, depending on their age and skills, to help. At work, talk to others on your team. Hire out some projects to a VA, virtual assistant, or outsource your household tasks if you need time to focus on work. What you don't have time for is everything. So refer back to tip 2, set some boundaries, because you cannot say yes to everything. All right, good news. It gets easier from here. All right, so you're probably feeling a little riled up and anxious thinking about having all these hard conversations around these first 3 tips. So I'm going to help you calm those fight or flight hormones that just flooded through your system with a mindful moment. Self-care can be really simple and not take much time. And I want to take away that number 1 reason that people don't practice self-care by keeping it to just 1 minute with a box breathing exercise. So we're going to do this together. You're going to breathe in for a count of 5, hold your breath for a count of 5, exhale for a count of 5, and then hold your breath again and go to your happy place. So visualize your favorite, calming, just happiest place and get that place in mind. And we're going to do 3 rounds, which literally takes a minute. Well, less, because I could probably count fast. So if you'll humor me, go ahead and close your eyes, and we're going to inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, happy place 3, 4, 5, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, and happy place 3, 4, 5, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, and happy place 3, 4, and 5. So open your eyes and breathe normally. I always notice I slow down after that one. So go ahead and type in the chat with how you feel from just 1 minute, less than a minute of box breathing. And I'll share the comments in just a few moments. So remember, this is as simple as it can be. Self-care is whatever helps you get a reset. It can really be this simple. All right, next tip. Let's get on to routines. Build routines. Consistent routines turn into habits, and we all know how hard it can be to break a habit, right? Anyone else do a mental check when you leave the house, right? Wallet, phone, keys, check. That's a routine you started that became a habit, and now it's automatic, and it sets you up for success without you thinking about it. So there's 2 routines that I would encourage you to think about putting at specific points in your day. Put your self-care on your morning routine. That way you don't run out of day before you get to it, because we do tend to keep pushing it back. So you have more time to get it done if you need to push it back. And then the other thing to put in a specific place would be your planning and prepping for tomorrow. Put that on your evening routine. Take a moment to look at your calendar for tomorrow and do 2 things. Anticipate challenges and prepare what you can tonight for a successful tomorrow. All right. Tip 6 is to let go of perfection and have some grace and compassion for yourself. And this can take so many forms. And this is tough because so many people are throwing information at you about the best way to do this or how to hack that. And you just don't need to be that strict and unforgiving with your lifestyle habits around food, exercise, or even at work and home, especially when that perfection takes away your time for sleep and self care. So, at the root of this concept of letting go of perfection is having perspective, being flexible, and making those backup plans. Now, I have a whole workshop on letting go of perfection, but the main message is don't get so bogged down in the details. Keep your focus on the big picture. And the truth with lifestyle habits is that small changes and short amounts of time add up. Consistency is so much more important than perfection. So be okay with good enough, being good enough. You don't need to be perfect. Yes. And one of the comments in the chat to treat yourself as compassionately as you do others. Great, great tip. My last tip, number 7, is to start small and then start stacking your wins. So listen, we all have ups and downs. When we think of all the things we want to do, it's easy to get overwhelmed. So if even this information, 7 tips in this ABC chain, if this is too much or too new for you, then just choose one small thing that you can do to practice self-care. Make it something you know 100% you can do even if the sky falls. So maybe it's just having that mindful minute every day. And if you have one mindful minute, you just won that day. When you feel ready, add one more small thing. And now you have 2 wins you just stacked. And you keep going, adding just one more small thing at a time and stacking your wins. Over time, you'll be amazed at how much you can do. And the beauty of this approach is that when life does go sideways, which it will, you simply come back to one small win and start stacking again. And that's the last tip. And so I just wanted to share the comments about the box breathing exercise, just that people are feeling so good after that simple box breathing exercise. So as I wrap up, here's my information. We are about to kick off a self-care bingo challenge on Monday, December 13th. Super excited about this one. And you are the first to know the prize is the book, Body Kindness, which is a wonderful book by Rebecca Scritchfield, a fellow dietitian and body kindness advocate. So that is the prize. The challenge has no cost, and you could win this book. So please join us on Facebook. Go to the Keeping Healthy Simple Club page and then join the community and challenge group. There's also a PDF booklet of this presentation. So if you're not a newsletter subscriber, jump on the newsletter. You can join from the Facebook page. There's a button to sign up at the top, and you'll get the PDF booklet from this presentation. If you're already a newsletter subscriber, just shoot me an email or a text, and I'll be glad to send it to you. And then finally, I am accepting worksite wellness clients and coaching clients for 2022. I'm kicking off January with 2 great programs. One is on meal prep. So we're going to do a meal prep workshop and do a Sunday meal prep cooking class. And then we're also going to launch the Master Your Macros programs for those who like a little more structure with your nutrition. So reach out if you're interested in getting on the wait list or booking a session with us. So to end on self-care, knowledge is amazing, but I am more concerned with what you are going to do with this information tomorrow. So would anyone be brave enough to share what they're considering as their next step towards better self-care?
I would like to share. For me, when you were outlining all these steps, it's that this applies to self-care, but it also applies to your entire life. So this is a life plan. So maybe if you can say, this is good for taking care of myself, but this is good for taking care of my life in all aspects, and spins all back into it, then it just gives you more momentum, because, you know, every woman uses every excuse they can to put off self-care because they've just got everybody coming at them saying, I need this, where is this? Can you do blah, 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 or just dumping things on you, and that's at work and at home. So just to look at this is a way of life. And I love the idea of stacking the wins. And you do something great, then celebrate yourself. And if
Yes.
you can build it up, but maybe one day falls off, then just start over again. Every
Yeah.
day you can start over again, and that's fine. Do what you can do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, and letting me know that this spoke to you, and you really, you got the tips, you got it, you've got the action, and the understanding to move forward, not only with self-care, but like you said, this can be a plan just for better living, happier lifestyle. So thank you for sharing that. All right. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. Now get out there and go do something good for yourself. Thank you.